we go. So, guys, this is the HUPS interview, episode 4. I am here today with Dr. David Benoit. So,
hello.
Thank you. We're going to assume that I'm going to put some round of applause in there.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. Awesome. So, first questions first, I guess. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it you do? What is your position at the university?
So what do? I suppose technically it's a senior lecturer in molecular physics and astrochemistry, which is probably a bit of a front for me doing lots of weird things with molecules, quantum things, and space, which I thought was quite a nice mix. I suppose technically I'm also an escapee of the chemistry department. So I started life as a chemist.
So just to clarify, you do realise that this interview is to get people to like you, right? If you refer to yourself as a chemistry reject, you might get...
Yeah, that's fair point. At the same time, I sort of repented in some ways, and I saw the errors of my ways and thought, well, clearly physics was way cooler, and everyone's allowed a mistake. So I thought, fine, okay. That's sort of the way I see it. I'm seeing myself maybe more as an adopted physicist, because physicists are kind like that and they don't mind people who are different. There you go.
Okay, we'll take that. We're an eclectic group of people, so we'll accept that for now. We'll take that as an apology, right? So yeah. For past mistakes.
I can make it worse. I actually technically did a degree in biochemistry. It's not even chemistry, it's biochemistry. I know. Sorry. Okay, I'll shut up.
We're forgiving. It's okay. I won't terminate the interview just yet. Brilliant. So first of all, obviously, elephant in the room. Obviously, you have an accent. I have absolutely no idea. Where are you from?
Switzerland. Technically it's the French part of Switzerland. For people who have been or not been, most people will know Lake Geneva at the bottom, and that's not where I'm from at all, but I just thought I'll give that in just for location. And then you if you go up north, there's another lake that is much smaller, which is called Lake Neuchâtel. That's not where I'm from either. And if you continue and you try and sneakily cross the border into France just before you cross the border, that's where I'm from. So It's sort of nearly at the border between France and Switzerland. And yeah, that's where the accent's from, I suppose.
Fantastic. But there's a Yorkshire twang in there as well. So
yeah, well,
French Yorkshire accent.
This is it. I've been in the UK for a while, so I used to work in London for a long time. So a lot of things it's sort of a mixture of some southerner stuff, some also my wife's from near Durham, so there's a bit of northern thing here as well. There's a bit of Hollish stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixture, but I don't mind. I think that the funniest thing that's ever happened to me because of my accent. So the cool thing is the foreigners can't spot that I'm not British, right? They just think because with their dresses, etc., they're just like, oh yeah. So he's English. So I had French people trying to talk to me in English, where I said, look, it's fine. Let's just talk in French. It'll be easier for you. I had an American guy asking me which part of the island I was from. And I was like, oh, he means the UK is the island. Oh, right. And so I was sort of trying to say, oh, I'm sort of very, very south, sort of really south, so much so that it's not actually in the UK. And it's and he was a bit disappointed. He was surprised. But to be fair, I don't think I could have spotted. I'm rubbish with things like American accents. I wouldn't know from his accent where he was from. And I don't think he was necessarily expecting that too much. But it was sort of a weird story because he was convinced I was from the UK. So, but usually, people from the UK rumble me within 3 seconds. I think that's about it. Funny thing though, the weird thing is, so I used to work in Germany for a long time, and the Germans could spot in about a microsecond that actually I was French speaker, which I never quite worked out why. They were like, oh yeah. It's like, oh, I didn't realize my German was that bad. And they were like, oh no, it's yeah. So there you go.
So sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ja, klar.
Fantastisch. Mein Deutsch ist schlecht. So for all those out there, I apologise. That's just me bragging. I do speak a little bit of French as well, so you know, what can I say? Je ne parle pas français. Yeah, what can I say? It's good because I go to holidays in Japan, so it's good that I don't speak that well.
Yeah, Japan sounds like a cool place.
It really is, but once again, this is just me bragging for the camera. I'm not gonna lie, like this is absolutely just what it is. It's me bragging for the camera. Sorry, guys, it's not an interview about me, but I'm going to tell you about myself. So obviously we've still recovered where you're from. Fantastic. I suppose a good point, call is what got you interested in physics.
Oh yeah, that's sort of funny sort of story as well. So
chemistry got you interested in physics by the sound of it.
Well, this is sort of the weird thing, right? So I think I nearly would have ended up doing physics if it hadn't been for the fact that when it came to choosing my final year project at A level, so I did my undergraduate obviously in Switzerland, my A level and all that in Switzerland. And so in Switzerland, at the end, you do a sort of final year project. I wanted to do something with, I think the idea was that I wanted to do some of these super cool atom traps. So it was at the start where people were looking at some of the atomic clocks and things. And I was really interested in the idea that you could fire laser at molecules or atoms and sort of slow them down and cool them to near absolute zero. And to me, that sounded like a brilliant idea. So I pitched that to my physics professor back then. And he looked at me like I had three heads and said, "You're not doing this." I said, "Why?" He said, "For a start, we've only got one laser. You need about 6. And you need an ultra vacuum." So basically, it was just too expensive. And so slightly, I suppose I wasn't upset. I was just a bit like, "Oh, that's just like, okay." And then I sort of wandered over to the chemistry lab. And in the chemistry lab, for some reason, we had loads of things. And the guy was like, "Well," and I said, oh yeah, I want to do, the other thing I was interested back then was looking at conducting polymers. There's like plastic stuff that actually conducts electricity. I thought, oh, this is really cool. I want to do that. And of course, I picked the most dangerous synthesis that you could ever do that had something like you had to have acetylene, some catalyst that essentially spontaneously combust in air or something like that. And I think the guy was just like, tell you what, can you pick something a bit simpler? So I did. And so I ended up making a battery with a plastic battery that worked really well. So I made my own conducting plastic, etc. I did sort of ohmic measurements. And so I did a bit of physics in my chemistry. But then by then I was sort of wed to the whole, let's just cook things together and make things. And so I sort of strayed into the path of chemistry, but stayed quite close, I suppose, to the molecular physics of things. I think the thing that really interested me properly was the quantum mechanics. I think I really enjoyed quantum mechanics. I know, sorry, that's a bit weird.
I do too. To be fair, I mean, the specialization in small things is basically how I keep my fiance interested, or how she's interested in me. That joke may get cut out.
Yeah. So yes. Exactly. So I think that was sort of the idea that in the end, I probably always ended up being sort of a bit on the edge between sort of. Also, when I did, so my PhD, for example, was in theoretical chemistry because I like computers and I like the idea of having computers doing chemistry, doing sort of funny quantum mechanics-y things. And I suppose in the end, I was sort of saved by Brad, really, who once said, "But why don't you just come to physics? It'd be really cool. We'll do spacey things." And I thought, space seems to be a lot more interesting than, I think the problem we always have in chemistry is there's like stuff, there's water, there's all sorts of extra stuff that you don't want. Whereas space is great. It's like a clean, nice vacuum. I was like, I can do that. And that's how it sort of came about. So I sort of got interested, I suppose, more in science and I suppose molecular science and quantum things. And I think it became, obviously, took me a while to realize this, clear that the best way of doing this would be in physics rather than chemistry. And I'm sort of feeling bad for any chemists that might be listening, but life is so much nicer in physics.
Well, my argument is that physics is everything. Like chemistry and biology and everything else are just all smaller subsets of physics. That's my argument. So
Yeah,
exist really at heart,
yeah.
especially.
I suppose that's true. It was sort of applied physics, and now it's like proper physics.
So the next question I've got for you, like I said, I've got a list. Where did you study physics? So you mentioned obviously in Switzerland that you did your A levels and your undergraduate there. Did you do your PhD there as well, or was that over here? Or?
No, so I did my PhD in London at UCL.
Oh.
So let's just see. So I did actually a it's sort of probably a little bit funny. So how did that work? I did classical studies for school. So I did Latin, Greek, and that kind of stuff.
Useful.
I then I did then a science A level, and then studied chemistry and biochemistry at university. So that was in Lausanne at the EPFL, so that's the Polytechnic Institute there. And then, of course, I wanted to do like chemistry with computers. So I wanted to do theoretical chemistry and look more at quantum things. And so then I had to sort of pick somewhere to go. So I did that in London in the end. The way I picked things, the way I picked my PhD was actually quite funny. It was the early days of the internet. So I went and, as you do, you cyber stalk the people to try and see what they look like. And I was a bit surprised that I think I had 5. 4 of them had a picture of themselves, and they all looked absolutely crazed. They looked crazy. I thought, I'm not going there. The guy looks like a maniac. I'm not going in there. There was only one that didn't have his picture. And I thought, well, he might be crazy, but hey, who knows? I'll just go. What's the worst that can happen? And that's how I ended up in London.
Brilliant.
It's quite funny. So I did my PhD there at UCL. And it was, I think there we got interested in, it was theoretical chemistry, so it wasn't quite, physics. But then, there you go, that'll save me. I did my postdoc in computational physics.
Brilliant. There we go. We've got one guy.
There you go. That's it. That one saving grace. So my postdoc I did in Germany with someone who was actually technically, I think he started life as he's Italian, and he started life as a particle physicist. So you see something where it makes you wonder whether all the Italian physicists do particle physics. It seems to be like a particle and solid state physics. That seemed to be like one of the things that people did in Italy really well back then. And he had started a whole group. It was so one of the first things where people started to look at electronic structure using DFT and some of these sorts of things. So I did that. I learned to code like a physicist, which was like, okay.
Can you teach me?
And then
I'm still not there.
Yeah, well, it was really weird, right? I think that was another one of these things. So I ended up in a group where it was more or less like a factory. It was like a research group of 30 people, which for a research group in theoretical anything is massive. So we sort of had like various units, and we did one bit of a massive computer code. And essentially, you sort of had to learn to work clean, because otherwise, people would just come back and knock at your door and say, I don't understand what you're doing. This is crazy. You're going to have to rewrite it, or et cetera, et cetera. So it was sort of an interesting thing. And that sort of showed me that you could approach things from a completely different perspective. So the physicists sort of had a really interestingly different take on literally everything that I had learned as a chemist, which was like really, it was a mind-boggling experience, because you go, oh, you do this like that, and they go, no, you don't do this like that, you do it like this, and you go, why? And then you go, wow, but yes, this is so much better. And so, yeah, we were hitting things with Fourier transforms, and I'm like, oh, but Fourier transforms is not for this, although it is, and etc. etc. So I did that, And I think by then I ended up sort of staying more at the border between the two things. And yeah, I suppose it took me a while to then realize that yes, physics is really there's it's sort of quite funny because there's been so many times where I nearly got into physics proper, and so I worked quite a lot with physicists, and every time I was like, yeah, but they're physicists, and then as a chemist, I think there must be something where they make you swear some sort of oath that if you're a chemist, you're never allowed to go into physics. And then in the end, I just no, I'll just go and I'll do that, and it's been happy ever since.
Yeah, we're pleased to have you. Like I say, the fact that penguins were demanded of you on the walls of Robert Blackburn, it's testament to
exactly.
Department. So, absolutely. So obviously the next question. I'm just going to keep looking at the list because why not? The next question I've got for you is on the realms of, and I'm curious about this because it's not often something we do talk about, but I do want to know. What would you say is the worst part of your job in terms of lecturing and teaching physics? Like, it's a hard one because you don't want to say anything bad about anyone, but I think
no, exactly.
Do you ever come home feeling exhausted because something's happened that you just wish you could change?
Well, yeah, I'd like to say, oh no, that never happens. No, I think it happens quite often. I think often it's difficult. It's like often, you get an idea of how you want, for example, when you're teaching, how you want to convey a particular idea, and you say, oh, I'm going to need this, I'm going to organize it this way, and it's going to work out that way. And it either doesn't work, and you're like, I mean, I got used to the fact that none of my stuff ever works by now, so it's fine. Or sometimes you have like people who maybe don't, they have like a completely different idea, but they really force it on you, and you're sort of forced to do what they want you to do. I'm being very diplomatic here. And you say, but I know this is not going to work, but I'm just going to do it that way because that's what I've been told to do. And yeah, so I like my freedom to do what I want to do. And I guess the best way to put this is it upsets me when our freedom is cut down and we're being told, you're not free to sort of do things the way you'd like them done, which I suppose makes me sound a bit weird, but I don't know.
No, I can understand that. I think you've got a structure that you have to adhere to, but you've got these ideas, and if you can't always fluctuate between the two, it probably stunts what you're
exactly. I think it's like, what I like in academia is the freedom to do cool stuff that you want, and I think it's somehow sometimes you think, well, like it's things like admin and things like that. Sometimes you just go, oh, maybe that's probably the worst part. It's like having to do admin and say, doing things like, oh, were the students really there or not, and making lists, attendance lists. Bugbear number one. Why? If people want to come, they'll come. If they don't want to come, I don't mind.
So you're paid either way, right?
Well, it's no. I think this is the thing. I don't think there's really any. From my point of view, there's really not a monetary thing. I think if I really wanted money, I would not be doing academia, to be honest. But I think it's more, again, it's this sort of freedom of things that I'm thinking, well, sometimes there might be people, maybe they're just not interested in it, and that's fine. I don't want to be forcing people to do stuff. No. It could be that is, thinking, well, why not? The course is there, or the thing is there. If they want to come, the idea is we're all adults. Sometimes there are things that happen and means, oh, I can't go to that thing or that thing. I don't necessarily want to be chased up for it. But there you go. I mean, that's the way we all have. I have this theory, right? This is a great theory that whatever you do, there's always going to be something that you like and something that you don't like. Cool. And I think my way of looking at this is you sort of have to sort of tweak things until the stuff that you don't like, because there's always going to be some, is actually something that you can live with. And if you say, right, okay, I know there'll be that part, and it's not, that great, but things could be worse. I don't mind. So actually, I would probably say there's not really anything that I don't like. If I think about it, I think it's what we do is pretty cool. We've got some cool research things. We teach brilliant students. We help people sort of understand various.
So just to go back a second, you teach brilliant students, and obviously, guys, I am one of them, right? That's what you meant, right?
Yeah, that's
Quite
it. Well,
complimenting me, right?
I think this is the thing is I think it's we can see, because you see that's one of the cool things. I see some of you in first year, and then I sort of leave you for a bit, and then I pick you up in third year and fourth year, and you sort of see really the journey of how people really manage to, they're like, oh, they're getting this. This is cool. These people started maybe with an interest in physics, etc., but we've sort of fed you loads of different bits of knowledge, and we can see how it's sort of essentially, you're getting your own idea of what physics is like for you. And a lot of it is brilliant. I mean, you're all doing brilliant things. You can see also afterwards when people then move on and do things and think, wow, this is really cool. So that's really also a really nice aspect of the job, that you get to interact with people. You don't, we obviously do the best that we can at explaining the things that we know, but to an extent, all of it is always a little bit biased. Like when I teach you quantum mechanics, I teach you my view of what I think quantum mechanics looks like. Or when I teach astronomy, I'm telling you the cool stuff that I'm interested in astronomy. But that might be different from different people. And so from that, you take this and then make something else, which I think is brilliant.
Fantastic. That's a wonderful answer. So we've kind of covered, like, one of my questions was going to be, if you didn't think you'd be into physics, what would you do? And obviously, I think we kind of covered that, and the answer would be you'd probably be in some element of chemistry, wouldn't you?
I'd run a coffee. I'd run a coffee shop.
Really?
That would be what I would do. Oh yeah.
So
I'd do. I'll have a
depressing,
cafe.
because that answers another question I had, which was coffee or tea.
Oh no. Coffee. There is no coffee. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like tea, but no. I mean, yes, but no coffee.
Okay. I mean, and that's dangerous for you to admit, because we do live in Yorkshire. So, I take, a lot of
I know,
pleasure in agreeing with you there.
I do agree. I've been brought up on espresso. Probably, that sort of teacher that I was telling you about at A level that didn't want to let me play with lasers. One of his thing was that every break he would go and make himself some tiny espressos, really, really tiny espressos. And so I think in my brain I associated cool physics with tiny espressos. So yeah, no coffee, definitely. No.
Fantastic.
I like a good cup of tea, but yeah.
So, you keep building yourself up, and then you just let me down. Tea, I don't get the appeal, but like I say, people are going to slaughter me for that one. So just me. So another question I've got, just because, and I mentioned this prior to the interview, I like to kind of try and bridge the gap between, sort of lecturer standing in front of students, and I kind of like think, we're all people. So completely physics aside, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time? Do you have any hobbies, interests? Musical interest?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so yes, I like doing photography, which I sometimes manage to combine and do astrophotography. It's really bad. I'm really bad at it, but I sort of really enjoy it. So often I'll just look at the sky and look, I can take. So I've got some really rubbish pictures of Jupiter, for example, that I got really excited about. I was like, oh, this is brilliant, this is amazing. But no, so more seriously, I used to do photography quite a bit. Obviously now, probably my hobbies end up being sort of playing with the kids. So my two kids sort of getting, I think it ends up being sort of a sort of full-time activity, really.
Like I said, I'm a father as well, so I completely understand.
And drinking coffee, I spend a long time drinking coffee, grinding beans, extracting all sorts of things out of coffee. I probably have literally every coffee machine known to humanity, or every possible ways of extracting caffeine out of things.
So academics are paid too well, is what you're saying?
Well, I just, you see, this is my practical chemistry side that comes back. I was thinking, I'll do that. I love cooking, so I do quite a bit of cooking. This was one of these things where actually we always say, never trust a chemist that can't cook, because that usually means they can't do that. But then I think essentially this is why I realized too late on in my life that actually chemistry was really a lot more like cooking. This is why I wasn't that good at chemistry in the end. It's probably better than I'm doing physics. But yeah, so I enjoyed cooking quite a bit. So I spent probably a ridiculous amount of time creating weird meals and inflict them on my family. Coffee, photography, bit of music every now and again. I used to play the keyboard.
Nice.
But yeah, I think now I'm more sort of playing on these little books that you get for the children that have a piano and show them, oh, this is how you do this.
Oh, they're fantastic. Like kids' toys that play music. I once had something called Octo Tunes, and it was an octopus, and each leg had a different note. And I was forever just trying
amazing.
like Smoke on the Water and stuff like random rock songs on the legs of the octopus. Brilliant. Never been more interested in music.
I think there's an idea for a rock band here. I think we could sort of probably make a sort of electro rock band there with, using just kids' toys to play some cool tunes. I think there's definitely something there.
You guys have heard it here first. That's definitely going to happen. And this is basically copyright. This is recorded now. So if anyone steals this idea, no, good luck.
That's it.
Cannot wait.
So
that's interesting.
So I think that's it. Yeah.
Brilliant. No, that's fantastic. And
traveling.
Brilliant.
I used to enjoy traveling. Well, we still could. Now it's a bit like, but yeah, traveling around, going to places.
So obviously COVID's made a bit of things difficult for everyone. So, but tell you what, we'll look to something positive. So we've covered where you're from, we've covered what you're doing and what you enjoy doing now. So I suppose like one of the final question would be like, where does your career and your goals in life take you in the future? Like, is it that when you give up on academic life, you might go and actually make your coffee shop, or like what do you see yourself doing? What's your ultimate goal?
I don't know. You see, so part of what we do is looking at biosignatures. So this is like life in the universe. So probably like towards the end of my career, we find aliens, thanks to like all the cool stuff that we've done. That would be quite good. And then, I mean, I could probably open a coffee shop in space. That would be something. And
that is, I mean, that's a fantastic goal. I approve of that. But especially, like, how would you grind beans in anti-gravity, like no gravity, should I say?
Yeah, well, look, we're scientists. We can work something out, right? You could, you no. I mean, you probably, no. It's fine. I'm sure we can do this. We can do this. We have the technology. We can probably build something, some high pressure grinding machine with like, it'd be fine. If not, we'll just get the beans shipped. The ground bean shipped
into space, right?
every now and again into space. I mean, this is the thing that sometimes, I'm just sort of going slightly off track here, but when I talk to kids and stuff about astronauts and things, and every time I'm thinking the coffee must be horrible in space. I can't imagine how they can. It's probably some sort of gooey mess that they have to drink, or instant. It must be like instant. And I was like, why do you have to drink? No. So that probably would be, So that the goal would be to bring better coffee to the people of space.
Nice. Just so you know, by the way, obviously you are bashing instant coffee a little bit there. I agree with you, but your audience is students, so do be a little careful. No,
don't get me wrong. So I used to have instant coffee quite a bit as well. But I think what's interesting is that once you've sort of, I used to have instant coffee because you think, it's so much quicker to the normal coffee. But actually, a little plastic filter, a few ground beans, and you could pour your coffee on top of it. You also get stuff that is so much better.
Definitely. I personally own it.
And it's cheaper.
Yeah, it is cheaper. I will give you that. It is cheaper in the long run. I'll absolutely give you that. I agree. So you've heard it here, guys. Like, obviously me, because I'm influential and important, but more importantly, Dr. David Benoit has endorsed freshly ground coffee. We suggest you all the same. It's
Exactly.
it's the key to succeeding in physics. Would you agree?
Oh, probably. I'm always suspicious of people who don't drink coffee and do physics. I'm thinking,
So there you go. There you go.
there you go. But we'll tolerate tea. I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, it's too tricky or to say, oh well, we'll only work with coffee drinker. I think that's fine, because also then they take all the coffee, right? So having a good mix of tea drinker and coffee drinker means you still always have enough beans.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
You see that's
a valid point. Yeah, that's a valid point. The scarcity of coffee would scare me. So yeah, I'll give you that.
exactly.
So I think we've asked all the questions that I want to ask, and that people have put in things like that. So the final round of this is what I'm going to call the quick fire round, because I couldn't think of a better name. So the idea is, and unfortunately we've actually answered some of these, but I'm still going to ask you them anyway. And the idea is you've got like a couple of seconds to kind of like think of a snap answer. So kind of almost first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So shall we begin?
Yeah, go ahead.
Brilliant. Okay, so first question: are you a cat or a dog person?
Neither. But if I had to, cat.
Favorite takeaway?
Oh, favorite takeaway, probably Indian.
Indian. Good call. Good call. I'm from the Midlands. I enjoy a good Indian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No.
No, I was thinking there's loads. A takeaway is always nice, but I think Indian is probably the one that I'd go for, because it's a lot of work to make Indian at home. If you want to do your proper, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's good takeaway. Like fish and chips as well, but Indian, yeah.
Brilliant. So favorite band or musician or artist, whatever you want to call it.
Oh,
at the moment.
At the moment, I would probably. Oh, it's probably going to be stuff that I don't know. There'll be sort of techno-y thing, because, but maybe more, ambient-y thing. So it'll be Conjure One, I think, is probably one of those, or the Man with No Name that I rediscovered the other day, and I think he does amazing stuff. Man with No Name, which I thought was such a cool name for a band.
Brilliant. There you go, guys. And so, sweet or savoury food?
Weirdly, probably savoury. Yeah, probably savoury. Maybe.
And then we've answered this, but I'm going to put a little edge on this one. Whichever one you don't say, you have to give up for the rest of your life in this hypothetical question. So coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee, brilliant. Good. Another controversial one. Windows or Apple?
As if there was really a choice. I mean, it's Apple.
Yes.
Clearly.
Take that, everyone else in my ear.
Clearly. I mean, I think, I don't think I'd be able to work anything else, to be honest. Life's too short. Just get a Mac. I'm not paid by Apple, by the way. Get a Mac.
But it'd be great if you were, right?
I know. I've got a story about that one, actually.
Go on.
If you've got time. So, when I was in Germany, when I built my research group there, we're running exclusively on Mac products, because I had to manage the whole IT. So I said, well, the only things I can work with is Mac. So we built a massive server full of racks of Apple Macs. So much so that the people that we're ordering stuff from realized that we're ordering so many Macs that they actually invited me at the Apple Expo. So I had I was taken out for dinner in it was in Paris as well, so it was like a really fine restaurant in Paris. I had like backstage passes, etc. But the problem is I was just so like, I sort of complete fanboyed the whole thing. I was like, oh, I'm on the Apple Expo. Oh, look, I've got a backstage pass. And I was just like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Who am I supposed to go and talk to? And I could have probably talked to all sorts of cool people back then, but I was just like, oh. And then suddenly, the day passed, and I was like, oh, I was at the big Apple event thing. And I think I just came back with like a bag and like, cool, I've got a cool bag. And I lost it since. And I was like, yeah, that was it. There you go. That was my Apple moment. So I definitely wasn't paid by them at all. They just took me once for dinner, but that was it. They were trying to sell me stuff, to be fair.
So, favorite film?
Favorite film? Favorite film. I'm quite partial to The Matrix, I would say. But Blade Runner is quite a good contender as well. So I don't know, which makes me sound really old. There's loads of cool films. I like watching films. That's what I do as well. That's another one of the. I like watching films and foreign crime drama. I'm quite addicted to foreign crime drama stuff on BBC4, like Danish crime and stuff like that. Yeah, weirdly. But yeah, so Matrix, Blade Runner. Go on, Blade Runner. Go with that.
Good call. I actually haven't seen the sort of sequel, but I really want to.
Oh no, don't go in. No, I wouldn't.
I'm not expecting it to be good, but I feel like I have to see it.
Yeah, I think the thing is, well, I don't want to take like loads of time, but you look at Blade Runner, and there's so many of the stuff that you were back then were looking at. Oh yeah, this is the future. And it's like, oh yeah, you take a photo and you zoom into it, and you've got a voice control and think, we got that now. We can do that now. There's so many things I think, but we are in the future then, according to that. But other bits, obviously, that never happened either. But it is quite cool. Flying cars, anyone?
Yeah. And then possibly the most difficult question I'm going to ask you. I mean, these were meant to be quick fire. We kind of gave up on that.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's my fault. That's mine as well. So, most difficult question. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I want a numeric answer.
3.
Cool. Sorted. So that's the end of the interview. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. If anyone has any follow-up questions or wants to do anything else, I assume they can get in touch with you out of curiosity.
Yeah.
I don't want to open that floodgate. You might get some hate mail now, but
no. People can get in touch. Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
Got email. You could you could message me on Twitter, or you could send me stuff on Twitter as well. Why not? I'm always happy.
I say, including new graphics for our band of kids' toys. Like people want to make
that would be really cool. I definitely think this is something that there's definitely something in there, because I think you could get so many funky dinky things, the sounds that you get out of those. There's some definitely. I think that's definitely something.
This is going to be one drunken event, isn't it, of the year or something like that? It's just going to be entertaining.
I think
I'm actually really excited to do this as well. Like, I really think this could take off. I would love to do this. So
me can do one of these things. Yeah.
Ready. Right.
There are bands. There are bands that do. I'm sure I've seen a band where they do things with like recycled. They'll have like a bucket and a broom handle and like some strings on it or something like that. That exists. So why not kids' toys, right?
Absolutely. See, I completely agree. This is going to be fun. Right. So anyway, I'm sorry I've kept you so long, Dr. Benoit. Guys, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you have been, if you haven't been, why not? And yeah, right. So thank you ever so much, and we'll catch up with you next time someone like me wants to do an interview.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it.
Thank you ever so much, Dr. Benoit.
Bye.